my gosh, Maria, I'm still full from Thanksgiving, even though it was just a couple of days ago, but it's back to work.
It's back to work. That's right. It's back to work. So,
The real estate market's interesting right now. It's the average days on the market has shot up to almost 60 days for
yes.
listings in the Tampa multiple listing service.
Yeah, it's taken a little while for people to find the right price sometimes.
Well, and the interesting thing is that um, the inventory's gone up. It's a little bit above pre-COVID. There's more price reductions. There's more homes coming off the market than for the last 3 years that aren't successful. And I don't think the homes are in the condition they need to be in for buyers to want to buy. The resale market's totally different.
I agree with you. Yeah, the market has changed from when we were in the COVID days. So,
Well, I call this the COVID hangover
yeah,
because, during COVID, during the pandemic, we were averaging 12 offers per listing.
yeah,
And the most we had, remember, we had 90 on one house.
yeah, yeah.
And,
That
and,
was,
and buyers were losing out on homes, so they kept not wanting to lose. So what did they do? They started overlooking deficiencies. You need paint, you need carpet, the landscaping's bad, the roof's getting old. With 2% a month appreciation, buyers just wanted to buy and they overlooked it. Now they're not.
mm-hmm.
And that is what I'm calling the pandemic hangover. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's that's very accurate. Absolutely.
But the interesting thing is that while the inventory's up, the number of sales is down, but the median sales price in Tampa year over year, end of October this year to end of October in 2023, was up 4%. Wesley Chapel was up over 4%. Lutz was up 3%. So as the market's starting to shift a little bit, but you're still seeing appreciation, so it's fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. It's market specific. I mean, it's really dependent on your town and where you are, and it's hard to give a blanket summary.
What's confusing for homeowners is that if you go on YouTube and you look at the media, they're going to talk about price reductions are up 300%, which may be true. Inventory's up 400%, but that was back when there was nothing on the market, and it's just come above COVID. So I think people are being fed misinformation.
Well, I think things are being sensationalized a little bit too much. You could say that.
Well, look at Cape Coral. Cape Coral inventory is twice of pre-COVID, yet their market year over year is only down 1.5% median sales price. So what's fascinating is that while the inventory is going up, prices aren't coming down. And I think the reason that prices aren't coming down is that there's still a demand for housing, if it makes sense. And what makes sense to buyers today, money's tight, credit card debt's up, people are concerned with the interest rates. They might not have the money to repaint and recarpet or countertops. So the homes that are selling the fastest and for the most money are the ones that have been properly prepared to go on the market, or they're newer and they meet today's standards for countertops, appliances, and cabinetry. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would agree with you. And buyers are really partial to homes that are move-in ready. They don't necessarily want to do big projects, and tastes have changed, so we need to take a look at that when we put a home on the market.
Well, and that's what we try to do.
Yeah.
When you go on listing appointments is, we'll bring in an interior designer and we'll help them declutter, stage if needed, come up with suggestions to paint or whatever needs to be done. But I think what sellers also have in their head is they have a need. They want to get a certain sales price, or they need a certain sale price to make the move. And we have to tell sellers, your need is not in the consideration on what the buyer's willing to pay.
Right, right. And it's common that a seller will look at what the neighbor's asking, and it might very well be a home that's not selling, right? And they might say, well, my house is better than that one. And so it's really a great, very individualized conversation that we have, where we really pick apart the market and what's happening in the neighborhood. And John, you brought up a great point about getting homes ready, and that's a lot of what we're doing here is keeping us very busy. That's why I love getting those phone calls from sellers who are thinking to sell next year. We are meeting right now with, in the last week with people that are putting some on right away, some in January, some in March, some want to be in their home till school ends, but they're bringing us in now to get ready and have us be part of the process.
Well, and the interesting
which
thing,
I love, because we can save them time, stress, and money.
well, we've had many clients this year, Maria, that, we needed to repaint, recarpet, fully stage, and they might have to invest $8,000 to $12,000, but we're getting $20,000 to $25,000 more for the house.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
so sellers need to consider that this is an investment
Yeah.
to sell their house for more money.
Yeah.
So they should be making about $2 to $3 for every dollar they spend, a faster sale. And then we do everything we can for the sellers to meet their needs.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing, a lot of the sellers at the end, what they're most appreciative of is that we help coordinate that, that we really are like mission control. We can get the right people in, help save them money on those items, not do anything unneeded, not spend any money they don't need to, and just to really prioritize, right? Because we all, and I know, there's certain things that you're not going to get your money back from, right? And there's certain things that you will. So,
well, and that's why we strongly encourage them only to spend money on things that will help them sell their house for more money.
Right. Yeah.
And so but this is going to go into 2025, right? So we've got a new administration starting. We'll see what happens there. But when the Fed cut the rates and the rates dropped to about 6%, 6.125 in September, they're back up to 7%. And nobody expected that. And so, while we watch the rates and people have to buy and people have to sell, we don't have a lot of control over that.
Right.
And so, Maria, I got asked a couple times in the last 3 days. I hear that we're going to have another crash like 2007, 8, 9, 10. If you remember in January of 2006, we sent out an email to our database saying everyone should sell and rent because we're confident there's going to be a 20% drop in property values in the next 2-3 years each year. And it turned out that that's what happened. But the difference between the market today and the market then is there were crazy loan programs.
Right.
Well, the federal government got involved and said, we need to lower the credit scores for people to be able to get an FHA loan. So those credit scores were reduced to allow people with mid 500s to be able to get a mortgage, even though it was predicted 25% of that group would end up in delinquency. But then there were the negative AM loan, which you got a mortgage, say $400,000, and you could pay a 30 fixed year rate, you could pay interest only, or you could pick the minimum payment, which if you did at the end of the year, you would owe $7,000 to the lender. Now you either wrote them a check or it went on top of your mortgage balance. And we'll get back to that in a minute.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, it did.
Yeah.
And so then there was the no income, no asset loans. And there was 100% investor, no income, no asset. So all you did is tell the loan officer, I make $2 million a year. They don't verify it. They don't verify assets. So you had all these amateur investors buying properties to flip.
Yeah.
And then you had the owner occupants going to the first mortgage we talked about, the negative AM loan. They were being qualified for it without being able to afford it. So jump ahead a year and a half, then what happened was the builders stopped investors from coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Then the investors went to the resale market. They were buying homes to rent or to flip. But then what happened was, then the crack started. There was a builder that allowed investors back in Wesley Chapel and Bridgewater, and that community was about 80% investors.
Investors, yeah.
And then
I
they
remember
started
that.
giving, remember they were giving realtors, if you brought a buyer in, the buyer's agent got 12%
I
commission.
saw, yeah, 10 and 12%. Ooh. on
So,
this.
so here's what happened.
Mhm.
The the market started to change. Everyone started, the investors putting their homes on the market to sell.
Right.
It started to flood the market.
Yeah.
There were no more owner occupants had already purchased. So then it started to become a race to the bottom. Now, all these negative AM loans with the minimum payment, the interest only, or the 30-year fixed,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as those started, loan to value started to get to 100, 102%, all
Mm-hmm.
those people, now keep in mind, a lot of those people were putting 5% or no money down, right?
Right. So
So,
no equity to begin with.
and so as soon as the loan to value became negative,
Mm-hmm.
they all immediately got switched to the 30-year fixed, and none of them could afford it.
Right. Yeah.
So it was like a light switch going off. It was a race to the bottom. In the Tampa market, I think it was 78% of everything selling was a bank owned or short sale.
Yes. We had a front row seat for that, didn't we?
Now today we really don't have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But what's unique about this market is 70% of all the current owner occupied mortgages are at 4.25% or less.
Mm-hmm.
So the folks that want to sell, if they can't get their number, they don't have to. They're going to stay put. So we're not going to see that type of delinquency. We're not going to see that type of foreclosure because so many of these, 70% are at 4.25 or less, and they can afford those mortgage payments.
Yeah.
And if they bought during the pandemic and certainly before, their $300,000 mortgage, that house is worth $600,000 now. So the equity is there.
Yeah. For most people in this market versus when you're talking about 2008, 7, 8, 9, 10, most people now do have equity, other than the ones that maybe bought in 2022.
Well, even the
at
ones
peak.
you went on a listing appointment yesterday
Mm-hmm.
that we looked at it, and they bought it in June of 2022, and we realized that based on they didn't put a lot of money down, they're trying to sell, and their closing costs are going to put them in a negative position. They've got to bring money to closing.
Yeah. Yep.
But that was because we went and pulled the comps. They overpaid when they bought the house.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was happening in the market.
Well, you had a listing appointment earlier this year, and the same thing happened. We went back and looked. He paid, when he bought that house, he paid $50,000 more than he should have.
Yeah. Well, and that's just all the more important to have a good buyer's agent when you're buying that will at least make you aware of that, right? So
Well, so professionalism and experience goes a long way.
yeah.
Well, what did those people tell you yesterday about their agent? Because once you told them they overpaid, what was their response?
Well, they actually told me they were aware that they, had a newer agent. They were not happy with their agent. It was a frustrating time to be buying because it was that kind of a market where things were going up over asking price. And so they were very aware that they had not had a good experience and hoping to make up for it now.
Well, and so going into 2025, I think that our real estate market is going to be fine, short of a black swan event. I don't think we're going to face any significant depreciation. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I'm optimistic. Talking to people every day. I talk to dozens and dozens of people every single day. I'm meeting with people, and I'll tell you, there are a lot of people that are planning on making a move. There are people that still need to buy and sell. I think people are optimistic about the overall direction of things. That maybe hopefully we've been through the tough time that we've sort of been through this year is going to improve. And of course, we've had 2 hurricanes here in Florida, so we've got those behind us. And I'm optimistic, and I'm pretty bullish. So we're just excited to help people reach their goals, and regardless of what happens in the market.
So the interesting thing is, there's opportunities in our market today. New construction, which is mostly up in the Wesley Chapel, moving over towards parts of Land O'Lakes, Riverview, Apollo Beach,
Southwest Hillsborough County, moving down.
And so these builders, as they close out certain sections, they're offering some pretty good incentives, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anyone renting right now that thought they couldn't buy should really take a second look. They might be surprised.
So the one community was offering, if you spent $80,000 in upgrades, they would give you another $80,000. It's not uncommon to see rate buy downs to 5.125.
Yep.
Closing cost assistance. And so, that's a great opportunity for people. And the new construction is going to have an insurance premium about half of a 15-year-old house or older. And but the downside of the new construction is that it's pushing down some resale that's close to it.
Yeah.
Now, but that's an opportunity for a buyer to buy the resale, because when the builder moves on and leaves that area, that resale, which is being, I think, held down artificially by the new construction, that'll come back up.
It'll come back up.
So that's an opportunity. So there's always opportunities for buyers out there. But to your point, you want to work with a very knowledgeable, experienced agent, and that's what we do at Tampa Home Group, because all of our agents, they're all full-time, they're all very experienced, they're very well trained, and you and I are involved in helping and coaching them on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you do. I mean, it's just constant here, the conversations that are taking place, and we're all here in the office, we're working, right all next to each other. And so when anyone has a situation about, hey, take a look at this, what do you think this house is worth, or take a look at this inspection, they're really getting that benefit of thousands of transactions.
Well, the synergy and the sharing of information, and if they show a house that they think is a great value based on condition and location, they share with the rest of the team.
Right.
One of our team members might have a client that wants that, and they're weekly visiting new construction sites to see what the incentives are, to see where the values are, to see if the builder had something, because the cancellation rate, I think the cancellation rate for new construction last month nationally was 23%.
Yeah, that would not surprise me, and it could even be higher, because
certain pockets,
between people not qualifying, or maybe their contingency hasn't come together, some of these new construction homes that were under contract are popping back out on the market, and sometimes they don't even make it to the MLS. Very common.
No, most builders.
Most of those, those builder reps, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call the agents that they work with a lot. The good, strong agents that are selling a lot of homes, those are the ones that are going to know about those homes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and so going into 2025 again, I'm hopeful that the rates will come down a bit. Inflation doesn't get outrageous, and then we're going to have a very active 2025. I honestly believe in our greater market is that there's a pent-up demand. A lot of people moved to Florida.
Yeah.
People are still coming to Florida. And then when the price point makes sense, people want to buy.
Yeah.
And I think that the statistics show that 100%, where year over year pricing is going up.
Yeah, I mean, and everyone knows this. I mean, you can look at study after study after study, is that the best way to build your net worth is to be an owner of real estate versus a renter. So for our young people and first-time home buyers and people that haven't bought yet, I'm so passionate about encouraging those people and us personally helping them get into a home.
It protects people on inflation. You buy a house that you can afford now, right?
Right.
And you don't stretch it. And 5-6 years from now, you know your payment's not going up.
Right.
if we have inflation, you're better off owning than not.
Right. You've locked in your housing payment.
You locked in your payment, and if you're renting with inflation, it's only going to go up.
It's going to go up.
So I would encourage anyone to buy right now, not rent, unless, listen, if you think you're going to be moving out of Tampa in 12 to 24 months,
then hold off. Yeah, I would say if you're going to be turning around and moving in a year, or you're not sure that you're going to be here, that's good advice.
Yeah.
So it's not for everyone.
Let's get back to work.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.